This is Gunny J coming live again. Unselfishness. That's our 10th trait in our series on the Marine Corps leadership traits. And this one, well, you know, they're all big, right? So, and they all work in together. But today, that's JJ did tie buckle. That's the U, unselfishness. So let me get my screen going here. There we go. So, but what I wanted to do first is I wanted to do just a little bit of a review, right? I know we've had about, we've had 10 traits. This will be the 10th one. And why is this important? I'll tell you, before I even do that, let me just. So everything rises and falls on leadership, period. That I totally believe that. And whether you have a nonprofit or whether, hey, Shyla, how are you doing? Whether you have a nonprofit or whether you have a home-based business or even a brick and mortar business, it really doesn't matter. What can happen is you'll hit a level of growth and then you'll just stop and you won't grow any further. And then you'll try to manage all this stuff. You'll try to, you'll try to manage all this stuff. You'll manage your finances, you'll manage your labor hours, you'll try to get all the expenses down. And that's all in the management category. But what you'll find is you still won't grow. It still won't blossom. And a lot of times, even in home-based businesses, they don't succeed to get off the ground because people don't work on themselves and they don't work on their leadership. A great example. There's these two guys in Bakersfield, California, this back in the 50s. They had an awesome restaurant. Really cool restaurant, and they tried to franchise it and it never worked. I mean, the restaurant did good. Their management practices were exceptional. I mean, that one hamburger restaurant back in the 50s was clearing about $250,000 a year. So this was a very successful operation, and these two brothers were very successful, but they couldn't go any further because your leadership's it's a lid and it stops you from growing. The only way to keep on growing is to raise your leadership, and then you'll see growth in your business or in your life for that matter. So anyway, this milkshake salesman named Ray Kroc came in and bought the name McDonald's. And Ray Kroc, even though he was just a milkshake salesman, he was an outstanding leader. So he took all the business practices that the McDonald's brothers had put in place, and he was able to franchise it and influence people and design processes for franchising and for growing and everything until, we know what McDonald's is today. It all started from these two brothers, but they couldn't get anywhere because their leadership wasn't developed. So as I go through in this review real quick, I want you to think about that. I want you to think about, areas that you lack in or areas where you could be more proficient in, and do you really have that skill set, and how can you learn it, and so on. So remember our first leadership trait was justice, right? Our acronym is JJ did tie buckle. And then judgment, JJ. Dependability, can your people depend on you? Initiative, I kind of liken that to the grape juice on the floor. If you see some spilled grape juice, are you the one to clean it up, or do you wait till somebody else cleans it up? Decisiveness, can you make decisions, and are you comfortable making decisions sometimes with only 30-40% input? Tact, right? Are you diplomatic? Do you have tact in order to deal with people, because not everybody's going to like you. I know, shocker, right? The reality is, I forgot what it was. I think it was like 97% of the people in the world will not like you. That's just a fact. But that still leaves 700 million people that will. So you're not alone. Integrity and enthusiasm, that's our tie. We did bearing, that's our B. And now we're on unselfishness. And that'll be what I'm going to talk about today. And then we'll hit the other four, of course, over the next 4 days. So unselfishness. Selfishness, it's a definition, not the definition. Unselfishness means that you avoid making yourself comfortable at the expense of others. Be considerate of others and give credit to those who deserve it. So many times when there's something that great happens, what we see is we don't see the leaders giving the credit to the people that actually accomplish the mission. I see that in corporate America more than I care to. I know I'm going to use myself as an example, and this is probably, it's usually not good to use yourself as a good example. You can always use yourself as a bad example, but not a good one. When I was a senior drill instructor, we're out in the field, and as a senior drill instructor, I'm ultimately responsible that all my recruits have all their equipment. And of course, I had all my equipment. And we're out in the field, and it was cold, and it started raining. Now, I don't mind being cold, and I don't mind being wet, but I really hate being cold and wet. But I wasn't worried because I had my poncho. Threw my poncho over me, snug as a bug in a rug. Then when my juniors came up to me with a recruit, and that recruit had forgot to pack his poncho that day for the field exercises. So what's required of a leader is that I give my poncho up. Now that private paid for that poncho, not paid as in money, that's a Marine Corps term, paid. Let's say he did a lot of exercising for a little bit. So he paid dearly for using my poncho. But as a leader, I had to make sure that he was more comfortable than I was. And definitely he was more comfortable than I was. I was miserable because right at the start of the day, I was just soaked to the bone. So unselfishness is thinking about other people, making sure they're comfortable, without making sure they're comfortable. Let me kind of define that for a second. Making sure that they're taken care of. Let me put it that way. Because as a leader, you're always going to put people out of their comfort zone. That's a whole nother issue that's not what I'm talking about here. So from that regard, I like making people very uncomfortable. I like having people get pushed out of their comfort zone. That's where you learn to grow, and that's where you get self-efficacy and self-confidence and self-esteem. So ways that you can improve on this: avoid using your position or rank for personal gain. You see that again? Simon Sinek came out with a book not too long ago, maybe a year ago or a year or two ago, and it always baffled me when I was a young Marine, private PFC as a lance corporal, someone like that. And what it was is leaders eat last. And so in the Marine Corps, the leaders always eat last. A corporal won't eat before the lance corporal. Lance corporals shouldn't eat before the PFCs, and PFCs shouldn't eat before the privates, and so on. That's how you just go up the rank structure, and the higher you are up the rank structure, the further chow time gets for you. It's just the way it is. And so when Simon Sinek visited, I think it was, I want to say Parasite, I'm not sure, it flabbergasted him that leaders eat last. Well, that's part of being unselfish. That's just part of our culture, the Marine Corps culture, and it's a good culture to get into because as leaders, it's our job to make sure everybody's taken care of. And personal gain, safety. Ooh, looks dangerous. You go first. No, that's not the way it goes, man. Or pleasure at the expense of others. Be considerate of others. I mean, really, you could sum it up right there. Be considerate of others. You know, as a leader, you're going to have to be considerate of people, maybe even people you don't like, right? I know, right? So even if there's people that you just cannot stand, as a leader, you still need to be considerate of them. All right, you got to be the bigger person in that regard. So that's what I have for today. Unselfishness. Just remember, leaders eat last. And if you like this series, make sure you make comments. I really appreciate comments and hearts, thumbs up. And if you are an online business and you're looking for some awesome training and marketing, I can meet that need too. So thanks a lot. Gunny is out.